Hey, welcome back to your favorite pre-calc class. Going to take a look at rational exponents. So here on the left, we've got the radical notation on the left, and here's the exponential notation on the right. So the nth root of a is the same as a to the 1 over n. Those are equivalent notations, just different notations for the same thing. A to the m over n can also be written in as a to the nth root of a, or the a to the 1 over n power to the m. Because if you notice, 1 over n times m will give us m over n. So it's the same thing, right? Or you can write that as the nth root of a all to the m power. However you want to think about that. So let's go ahead and convert these into the exponential notation. We've got the fifth root of a, so that would be written as 8 to the 1/5. To the 1/5. Here we've got the ninth root of x to the 8th. So that x to the 8th would all be to the 1/9. And then we could go ahead and multiply 8 over 1 times 1 over 9, and we get 8/9. Right? Go ahead, power of a power rule. X to the 8/9. Go ahead, try that next one. So we got x to the 5/7 on that one there. You see the work. And let's go ahead and simplify this. So we're given it as a rational exponent, 343 to the 2/3. So I'm going to rewrite that as that's the same as the third root of 343. So let me write it this way. There's the third root squared. See how that's still 2/3 there? I'm going to write what that means. So we're taking the third root of 343, and then we'll square it, right? So the third root. So I'm gonna break down 343. So I'm thinking, well, what are factors of 343? That goes into 7. So the third root of 343. So 343, 7 times 49. I'm looking for 3 of a kind, right? The third root. And so I can keep going with that 49. 49 is 7 times 7. So the third root of 343, again, 343 is 7 times 7 times 7. See, I have 3 of a kind, right? So the third root of 343 is 7. There's the third root of 343. But don't forget, we still got to square it at the end, right? We have the third root of 343 that's then squared. And 7 times 7 gives us 49. So there's 343 to the 2/3. Let's do some more here. This next one we got negative 27. Negative 27 to the 4/3. So I'm going to write that as to the 1/3 to the 4th. See how that's still 4/3, right? So I'm taking the third root of negative 27. The third root of negative 27. So can I have 3 things being multiplied to give me negative 27? Can I have an odd root of a negative number? Yeah, sure you can, right? Let's break that down. Negative 27 is like negative 3 times 9. Well, 9 can be negative 3 times negative 3. See how negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 27, right? So the third root of negative 27 is negative 3. I got 3 of a kind there. And then negative 3 to the 4th would give us positive 81. So it just ends up being 81. Why don't you guys go ahead and try that next one, negative 216 and 2/3. So again, you can have an odd root, a third root, an odd root of a negative number. That is possible, right? Can't have an even root of a negative number, not in the real numbers at least. All right, go ahead and check yourself on that one, and we'll move on to 256 to the negative a half. Notice I have a negative exponent, right? And if you remember, a to the negative n is 1 over a to the n. So I'm going to use the fact that 256 to the negative a half is 1 over 256 to the positive a half. And then I'm just going to write, well, if that's a 1/2 power, that means I'm taking a second root or a square root of 256. Again, we don't put the little 2 right here when it's just a square root, right? To the 1/2 power, we don't put that little 2 there. We assume that you know that's a second root, a square root. And then I punch in the square root of 256. You know, I'm looking for 2 of a kind, right? That is 16 and 16. Again, this is a second root. Again, you're not going to see the little red 2 there. So the square root of 256 is 16. So you got 1 over 16 is your solution on that. Let's do some more like that. Negative 64 to the negative 5/3. So I'm going to write that as 1 over, whoops, 1 over negative 64 to the positive 5/3. So I got 1 over negative 64 to the 1/3 to the 5th. So now I'm looking for the third root of negative 64. Is there something times something times something that gives me negative 64? Hopefully you recognize that would be negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. It's negative 64. Don't forget we're going to take it to a 5th at the end there. So the third root of negative 64 is negative 4. So I got 1 over that negative 4, but don't forget we still got to take that to the 5th power. Well, negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, 5 of those is negative 1024. And go ahead and take that negative up top there. And go ahead and try that next one. Go ahead and pause the video as you check your you try it problem there. And then we'll move into 9 over 49 to the 3 halves. Now 9 over 49, it does not simplify. They don't have any factors in common there. So you're just kind of stuck taking the 9 to the 3 halves and then the 49 to the 3 halves. So you're going to write the 9 as 9 to the 1/2 to the 3rd. So we're taking the square root of 9 to the 3rd. Similarly with this 49, I'll take it to the 1/2 power to the 3rd. Notice those are still both 3 halves. So we've got the square root of 9 to the 3rd, and we've got the square root of 49, which would be the 3rd. Well, the square root of 9, that's 3 times 3. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 49 is 7. So we got 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. I got 7 times 7 times 7. What's that? 343. And I think we're stuck right there. Go ahead and try that next one there. All right, take a look at that you try problem. Pause the video if you need to. Let's get into an example, another you try it. We've got 64 over 125 to the negative 2/3. And since I've got a fraction and a negative exponent, I'm just going to go ahead and apply that rule where we go ahead, we can flip those and then make it to a positive 2/3, right? Because that's the same thing as 1 over 64 1/25, all to the positive 2/3, right? That's the same thing. And then we're going to go ahead and apply that's 125 to the 2/3. So 125 to the 1/3 squared, 64 to the 1/3 squared. Notice those are both to the 2/3. So we've got the third root of 125 being squared. We've got the third root of 64 being squared. Well, third root of 125 is 5. 5 times 5 times 5. So we got 5. It's still being squared. Third root of 64 is 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. And so we just end up with 25 over 16 on that. Make sure you try that next problem there. Should end up with 81/16 on that you try it problem there. You pause the video if you need to look at that work. Let's deal with some variables now. We've got the 12th root of y to the 7th times the 3rd root of y to the 5th. We're going to write it in exponential form first. So the 12th root of y to the 7th. So that'd be y to the 7th, 12th root of that. So that's to the 1/12th. And then I got y to the 5th, times y to the 5th. It's the 3rd root of that. So that's to the 1/3. So I've got power of a power. So 7 over 1 times 1 over 12, I got 7/12. And 5 over 1 times 1 over 3 is 5/3. And now I'm using the rule a to the m times a to the n is a to the m plus n, right? I'm going to add those exponents. I got the same base there. So I got 7/12 plus the 5/3. Well, in order to add fractions, I got to have a common denominator. So this common denominator is going to be 12. So let me multiply by 4 on that. So I got 7/12 plus 20/12, right? 20/12 is the same as 5/3. And so we end up with 20 plus 7, 27/12. Now remember, 27 is 3 times 9. 12 is 3 times 4. So this will simplify to the 9/4. Y to the 9/4, which is our answer on that. So go ahead and try that next one there, and should check your work on that. Should have ended up with x to the 13/8 on that. Then we'll go ahead and simplify this. Looks like we've got a 3/4 to power of a product there. And so I'm going to take that x to the 5/6. That'll be to the 3/4. And then I'll take my y to the 4th to the 3/4. And so it looks like I got x to the, so power of a power, I'm going to multiply those. 5 times 3, I got 15 over 24. And then y to the 3/4, so that'd be 4 over 1, of course. I got 12 over 4, which is 3. So I've got x to the, I'm going to write it this way. 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 8. Notice my 3's cancel. So that's really 15/24 is the same as 5/8. 12/4, of course, is 3. So I got x to the 5/8, y to the 3rd. Well, thanks so much for taking notes. See you next time.